Welcome to Coachology in 20, the series where we cover coaching concepts in 20 minutes. If you are new to coaching, grab your pen and paper, get ready to take some notes. If you are an experienced coach, then get your fingers at the ready and share your wisdom in this space, what you've learned and what you know on today's topic. And what we're going to be looking at today is we're going to be taking a journey back to the history of coaching. So if you are tuned in, please let me know. Drop a comment in the comments box. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And we're going to dive into the history of coaching. And we're also going to look at the future. So, I was asked recently by my young teenage sister, why should I choose history as a subject in my next level? She goes into her new GCSEs, I don't know what they call them these days, but she's got into choosing her topics and her options. And we had a little bit of a discussion about how we can learn so much from the history, how history, when we start to look and explore the patterns, how we can actually use it to predict the future and to use and look and bring what we've learned into and reshape the future. So the history is very important. So we're going to be looking at the history. We're also going to be talking about the future of coaching in this session. I can see Adele's tuned in. Adele, thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So the first question that I have, whether you're watching now, whether you're watching on the replay, is where did coaching originate? Where do you think coaching originated? Right now, it is on the rise. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, multi-billion-dollar profession. There's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of coaches around the world right now. But where do we think it all began? And if you're an experienced coach, or you're a coach here at Coaching Minds, where do you remember it beginning? What have you learned on the origins of coaching? Let me know in the comments box. I'd love to know where you believe coaching originated from. So I'll let you ponder on that question as I move into where it actually originated. So if we look at the characteristics of coaching, the traits of coaching, the skills of coaching, we can stretch these back as far as the 5th century BC, at the times of Socrates, Plato, and over in the East in ancient China as well, the works of Lao Tzu and a lot of other Chinese philosophies that were around at that time. Philosophers tend to have coaching traits and coaching skills within them because, as we remembered from our last session on Coachology in 20, we looked at coaching being all about questions, about creating that reflective space, about thinking differently and looking at things with a different perspective. So we can stretch back that far to the 5th century BC, where actually coaching traits, and probably further before then as well, were around. They were just not labeled coaching. But when do we think that the word coaching actually came around, when the word coach was invented? Does anybody have any ideas? Again, if you're watching on the replay, if you're tuned in right now, drop your comments in the comments box. Where do we think the word or term coach originally originated from? The idea of the country, the place, the meaning? Let me know in the comments box. I'd love to know your thoughts. But let me tell you, the word coach actually originated in the 1500s in a small village in Hungary. And it was used to define the transportation by horse and carriage of goods from point A to point B. So it was used as a translation. It was used as I just mentioned, a horse and carriage. This was what I'll get my words right. Coaching was defined in the 1300s with a horse and carriage that was transferring goods from point A to point B. An interesting story that sort of sat alongside this was the introduction of also something known as a coach dog. If anybody's tuned in, do you know what a coach dog is? Have you heard of the term coach dog? So this term also derived at that point. It's also known as a carriage dog as well. So whilst coaching was originally termed as a transportation by horse and carriage of goods from point A to point B, which is what I was trying to get out with my word mix-up. It's been a long day today. There also was the terminology coach dog that existed back in the day historically. And I just came across this word in the past 6 months. It's been very interesting discovery for me, and something that we are currently building and working on as well. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, but we're going to keep that secret for another day. But historically, what a coach dog was, it used to run alongside these horse and carriages to protect the carriage from thieves and bandits, to protect whatever was there, whether it was people, whether it was treasure, whether it was gold, whether it was belongings. The coach dogs or carriage dogs used to run alongside these carriages, horse and carriage, to protect the loot, the bandit that was in there, the treasure that was in there from bandits and thieves. What we're building here at Coaching Minds, so just a little bit of a side story from today, is we're actually building an online platform called Coach Dog, where we are looking to protect clients from fraudulent scams and coaches out in our profession. But I'm not going to go into detail of that. So it's something we're taking from history into the present day. It's going to be a verification platform that is going to connect clients and those looking for coaches with professionally trained and qualified coaches. But I'm not going to go off piste on that. That is just something that ties into the definition of coach, as I mentioned, that came from Hungary to explain the transportation of goods by horse and carriage, and the coach dogs that used to run alongside those carriages to protect the contents of the carriage from thieves and bandits. And from there, coaching kind of developed. And it wasn't until the 1830s when coach was actually used in a metaphorical sense. And we're going into Oxford University here to look at how that was used. It was used by professors in the university as a way of explaining. They became coaches to transport their students literally over the finish line of their exams. So the word coach began to become, in a metaphorical sense, in Oxford University in the 1830s. It then grew from there, then expanded. We then started to see it in the early 1900s, famously in sports and sporting. So a lot of sports coaches were on the rise. It was all about getting our teams ready, motivating our teams, high performance. So coaching then started to form in the early 1900s in sports. And it wasn't actually until 1950s that the USA defined the term life coach, which literally, when it first came out, was all about transporting people, metaphorically, emotionally, and mentally from point A to point B. So our industry started to be established in 1950 over in the USA, and then life coaching started to become more popular across the globe towards the end of the 1900s. And then as we move into the early 2000s, this is where we kind of start to see the rise of all different types of coaches. So we didn't just have a life coach, we've got organizational coach, we've got executive coach, performance coach, relationship coach, goal setting coach. You name it, there's probably somebody that's calling themselves a coach with the word coach attached to it in our modern day times. So Adele saying that's much needed in the industry. Thank you so much for sharing that, Adele. So that's the verification platform we were talking about earlier on. I'm not going to go into detail of that today. There's going to be lots more information on Coach Dog coming in the future. Emma Band just tuned in. Thank you so much for being here, Emma. Lovely to see you. If you do have any questions on the history of coaching, if you're tuning in right now, I've gone through where coaching originated in terms of the skills, traits, characteristics, how far we can stretch back into the 5th century BC, then how it is actually coined and termed in a small village in Hungary in the 1830s. And then we moved into Oxford University and how professors used that to transport their students past the finish line of their exams, and then how it formed into become the term life coach and a profession from the 1950s. And then from there, it started to expand, as I mentioned. We've got lots of different areas of coaching, lots of different names, lots of different terms. You've probably seen coaches pop up on your social media every day. Now, the important point to note is that not everyone that's calling themselves a coach is actually a coach. And this is one of the purposes of this Coachology in 20 series, is to educate everyone on what professional coaching is, what the terms of certification, accreditation mean, how to get qualifications in coaching. We're here to illustrate and explain the true depth and essence of the whole topic of coaching. So where do we think coaching is today? So a question for the audience. So I've mentioned we've got all these different terms. Where do we think, for the professional and experienced coaches that are tuned in, where do we think our coaching industry is at right now? And then I'm going to ask, where do we think it's moving to in the future? Let me know in the comments box. I would love to know your thoughts. Where do we think coaching is at right now? So Razan's tuned in. Razan is saying, this is interesting. It can really help me explain what I do as a coach. Thank you so much for being here, Razan, and thank you for helping you explain what you do as a coach. So yeah, today we're just looking at the history. And every Monday at 5 p.m., we're going to be going into different topics, just concepts in 20 minutes to help educate people on what true coaching is. So you can start to weed out those that are just popping up in your social media messages and messages, so you can find and truly understand what coaching is all about. You know, we're on a mission to make coaching affordable and accessible across the globe. So we want to do an education series like this all this year on every single Monday. So I've just asked everybody, where do we think our coaching industry is right now? So we've got a lot of life coaches out there. We've got a lot of transformational coaches. You can get a coach in pretty much every area of your life. But as a profession, where we're seeing a big move is companies starting to adopt coaching as part of their corporate culture. It's starting to get embedded into, there's still a lot of work, I believe personally, in a lot of industries around this, but coaching is starting to be understood as not being something that's a luxury, but something that is a necessity in modern day times. With the rise of AI, with the pressure that we have as companies and organizations, we're starting to understand that a coaching culture is going to help us navigate these volatile times that we're working and experiencing as organizations. So coaching has moved from that one-to-one life coach into looking at how we embed coaching into a corporate culture within teams, within organizations, to help organizations thrive and succeed in these uncertain times. And that has led to the future of coaching. So from there, we're starting to see coaching within the corporate culture. We've seen it evolve over the years. But where do we think coaching is heading in the future? And there's two key trends at the minute that are popular topics or hot topics in our profession at the moment that's going to help determine the future of coaching. What do you think these are? Where do you think we're going as an industry, as a profession? If you've got a coach, if you're tuned in, you have a coach, drop a comment in the comments box. Let me know that you experienced coaching before. Let me know where you're at in terms of your coaching experience. Are you a new coach? Are you a professional coach? What do you see? What do you foresee for the future of our profession? Now, whilst you're reflecting and pondering on that, I'm going to share two aspects where we believe coaching is going at Coaching Minds, and my personal thoughts with regards to the coaching profession is, first of all, we're going to see a rise, and we are seeing a rise in team coaching. So as part of that corporate culture, as part of embedding coaching within organizations and companies, we're seeing a rise in team coaching, particularly in term team coaching certificates, organizational coaching certificates. We're seeing a rise in this. So we're going to be seeing coaching done a lot more frequently at a group level rather than an individual level. So that's going to move us forward into the future. I'm going to bring in some things here that people bring from the comments. So Razan saying, agree, we need it more than ever, especially in this high-paced world. I would say in all aspects of life. I would agree, Razan. I really, really agree with you in that. I really think we're going to see a time in our lifetime where everybody will be having a coach. Everyone will be in need of a coach. Organizations in particular. And it's moving, you know, we've seen it evolve within the corporate culture from organizations hiring external coaches, bringing in external coaches for short periods of time. Then organizations fall back into those bad habits and those bad ways of working, that it doesn't become sustainable or long lasting. And we're seeing a move now to look at how we can actually embed a coaching culture within organizations. And that's what we're working on here at Coaching Minds through our Level 7 program. Adele is saying regulation. I would love to see our coaching profession move towards regulation. I hope it gets there. I'm a big advocate for it. I don't think it's anywhere soon within the next 5 to 10 years, just due to, if you look at the situations around the world, not to bring in any news, but are we ready to pick up coaching as being a regulated industry, as a profession with regards to our laws of our states? But I really believe that so coaching, team coaching is on the rise, is a big area. Now, one thing nobody has mentioned, which I'm really surprised because it is the hot topic in the profession. It's a hot topic in every profession at the moment, and that is AI. How do we think AI is going to affect the coaching profession? My next question. And whilst you're thinking about how you believe AI is going to affect our profession, I'm going to share some personal thoughts, and I'm going to write an article on this. It's going to be published later today, and I'm going to be doing some position statements on behalf of Coaching Minds in the direction that we are going to be taking. But I personally believe the term AI coach, there's no such thing as an AI coach. And I don't like that our profession is picking up and using this terminology. I think it's very risky, and I think we run a risk of sabotaging our profession by giving AI coaching and that language actual attention. What I mean by this is AI cannot coach. If you look at the skills and you understand what coaching is all about, it misses, the majority of it is human-centered, such as being able to observe language, being able to empathize, being able to pick up emotions. There's so many skills that AI cannot give. And why I believe that AI coaching should not be coined, we should distinguish coaching from AI personal support. So we're using AI coaching where we type in a ChatGPT type bot, we ask it, we tell them our problems, and we ask them to ask us some questions and to coach us. That is AI personal support. We should distinguish that from coaching, like we distinguish coaching from mentoring, like we distinguish coaching from therapy, counseling, learning, teaching. Coaching is an aspect of its own, and an AI bot cannot give at least 80% of the traits of a coach. It has no emotional intelligence behind it to be able to coach you. And I think there's a risk. I think as an industry, we shouldn't be encouraging the creation of AI coaches or AI bots to coach individuals, even if it is good intentions to reach the mass and to have an impact around the world, because there's a huge risk associated with this. And I really believe it is not coaching. We need to distinguish that. We need to double down on our human-centered approach. We need to remain, as a coaching profession, one of the only professions out there in the next 5 or 10 years that provides that human connection and that human support. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against AI. I love AI, but AI is an assistant. It's an assistant to our coaching practice. It really helps us. It really helps us start to think about how we can do the admin tasks, be more productive as a coach, so we can focus more on that coaching and that connection. So Adele is saying AI cannot replace the human touch. It is needed. It can't at all. Lynn is saying, no, I love AI. That's fantastic, Lynn. If you love AI, then you go there, but it's not coaching you. It can support you. I'm not saying AI cannot support you. It can ask you questions. It can support you. I'm not saying that at all, but it can't coach you. If you look at the definition of coach, it doesn't have any aspects in terms of what we do as a coach. It cannot read your body language. It doesn't have any emotional intelligence to tell you, it takes what you're typing in it literally. It cannot read between the lines. It has no intuition. And these are all skills of a coach. AI can't give that. And I'm not saying AI can't support you. AI can support you. It can't coach you. And I think as coaches, we need to move away from AI bots and AI generation to actually become an AI assisted as a coach, where we use AI to help the things outside of that one-to-one connection and that coaching sessions. And the rest of our practice is helped and led and run by AI. So you need to understand the big difference. I'm not saying that AI cannot support us. It can. But we need to stop using that language that there's such thing as an AI coach, because there's not. It helps me really well with explaining the feelings when I use it with the mood meter. Some AI prompts are helpful, but still the internet is full of wrong information, so I do not count on it. And that's the big issue. There is so much data inaccuracy with regards to AI, and there is a huge risk that one day, and I'm just going to come out and say it, that one day AI is going to talk somebody into committing suicide, because the data accuracy, the information that's getting pumped into it is not accurate. There is so much risk associated, and we should not, and we will not as Coaching Minds pick up AI bots here at Coaching Minds. Donna is saying AI is great for administrative side of your business and creating systems, but human connection is imperative. 100% I agree with you, Donna. So AI is great outside, but I 100% do not believe that an AI bot can coach you. It's all it misses pretty much everything that a coach does. Lynn is saying, can AI do stuff like give you stuff? So I don't know what you mean exactly there in terms of give you stuff. AI gives you lots of ideas. It gives you lots of prompts. It's going to help you with your brand. It's going to help you with your business. It's going to be absolutely fantastic to help you in terms of the admin side of your business, the creative side of your business, your emails, your tasks, everything that you do. But AI cannot coach you effectively. It might support you, might give you an idea, it might give you direction. And I think this is the terminology that we need to be careful of. AI support, fantastic, but it's not AI coaching. Okay, so I'm going to move from that because we're just over the 20 minutes, and I promised 20 seconds, but 20 minutes in a series, in a session. So it's just something to think about. So today, if you're tuning late, what we've gone through is the history of coaching, where it originated, how far we can stretch back coaching characteristics and coaching skills to as early as the 5th century BC. Then looked at how it evolved, how it actually became a term in the 1500s in a small area, a small village in Hungary. Then looked at how it came into Oxford University, then into coaching, into sports coaching, then through into being defined as a profession in the 1950s, and then into the 200s, where we are today as a life coach profession, a coaching profession that works with both individuals, teams, and organizations. And then we've done a little bit of a talk and a think about where AI is going to go in the future and where coaching is going to go in the future and the impact that AI will have. I'm going to write everything I mean and explain everything that I've shared with regards to AI coaching, which will be published later tonight on LinkedIn and Substack. So stay tuned for my article, which I am going to term that there is no such thing as an AI coach. And I will give you full details in there. But thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you for your engagement. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for your comments and your love. I look forward to seeing you next week, where we're going to talk about the difference between coaching and therapy. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.